Since the dawn of man, we are born, we live our lives, and we die. Or do we? Walk a fine line with us as we explore the dynamics of our existence and the truth behind beliefs in the other side. Walk with us because we have found the key and the doorway has been unlocked.
Shawn Halpenny is my guest, and we're going to get to some really cool stuff here as we get closer to Halloween, but I'll tell you about that in a second. First, I want to tell you about Havana Garage in the Old Market. If you haven't been, or if you haven't been lately, you got to go check it out. Havana Garage. Now, it's a cigar bar. Yeah, it's a cigar bar, but even if you don't like to smoke cigars, you'll love the atmosphere. You'll love the leather chairs. You'll love the pictures of, Frank and Dino and all the Vegas style pictures up there on the wall. You're going to love that. You're going to love the wide selection of great whiskeys and mixed drinks and cocktails. It's just a great place to go. You're going to have a nice dinner in the Old Market, or maybe you're going to a concert. Maybe you're going to some other event downtown, whether it's before or after. Make the Havana Garage one of your stops. And then, hey, tell them you heard about it on the Becca's Talking podcast, if you would be so kind. Havana Garage, 10th and Howard in the Old Market. Okay, so I said my guest is Shawn Halpenny. Now, Shawn, we're doing this right here at as we get close to Halloween, right? Is it fair to say that you are a ghost hunter?
That would be fair to say.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you are a ghost hunter. And you belong to an organization called MAPS. What does MAPS stand for?
Metro Area Paranormal Society of Omaha.
All right. So, now you say Metro Area Paranormal Society of Omaha. Are there other MAPS organizations around the country, or?
There are not that are not affiliated with us. Okay. There may be other MAPS, but they're not affiliated with the Omaha. That's why it's important.
This is not some network of people that all do this.
No.
Okay. So now I was talking to a friend about this last night, as a matter of fact, and he thought that you're like one of these, psychics, that go, I'm talking to your dead father now, and no, but that's not what you do, right?
That is not anything even remotely what we do.
Okay, so what do you do?
What do we do? We help folks who are having issues that feel that it's paranormal. We come in with their permission and help them find the cause of their issue. And that's really 98% of what we do.
What do you mean the cause of their issue?
The cause of their issue, their fears, their things that go bump in the night. Those things that they can't explain, there are times that we can.
Now, I know that years ago, you came, when I was over at KFAB, you came and we did a ghost hunting thing at the station. Yeah. And we'll talk about that in a minute, but there were no issues or anything. It was just something that's like...
It was for fun.
KFAB's been there a long time. The basement is pretty spooky.
It was filled.
Let's go down to the basement and see what we find, right? Because there were no issues. We didn't feel like we were haunted. No. There was not like things we couldn't explain or anything like that.
True. Yeah. Lots of stories, though.
Yeah.
If you remember, there were a lot of DJs for KFAB and the other affiliates in that building that did come to us and explain that they had heard plenty of things and seen plenty of things that they wanted answers for, and we tried to help them with it.
Okay, so you go in here now. So tell me how this works. Okay, so I say, hey, I got an old house in Dundee, and I know that lights are turned on that I didn't turn on, and I know that I put my plates over here, but now they're over there. I think I might be haunted. What happens?
Well, you contact us through mapsomaha.com, and we would, come get back to you and ask a few questions and see if it's something that you would want to consider us coming in and helping you find out what's going on. So it's it's an interview process and then a permission process. Because we do not take money ever for anything ever, because that would be too hard to explain in many ways. But the thought that someone is having an issue, and a lot of times it is an anxiety issue that they would like taken care of, that it's causing them a lot of anxiety. We would like to alleviate that, or at least help them find the answers, because not everything is paranormal.
Okay. What do you mean by that? Okay, so
by that,
first of all, let's talk about how you do this, because you've got a device, right? You've got a recording device.
Yes.
All right, and you go around and you ask the spirits questions.
We do. We have what's called an EVP recorder, which is virtually a digital audio recorder, and we would go into a place and ask questions. And Tom, a lot of times, getting the answer is having to do with your or our intent. The intent to get the answers that you're looking for, or at least an answer from an entity or something there, goes with the intent you have. And that's super important, to use your intent mentally to get responses.
Okay, so once you do the recording, because again, I've been with you on these,
Yes.
and you ask the questions, and I don't hear anything until after you play the recording back.
Right. Tom, if we could hear things when it was happening or we were recording, no thank you. I would be running on dry ground. Whoever was running after me would not be.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. No, you don't hear anything, to answer the question. I will go back to the studio and use a very powerful set of AKG K340s and amplifiers, and run the audio through that and clean it with either Audition or Audacity, and listen for answers. And a lot of times they're there. And
we're going to play a video here in a little bit, and also an audio of what you do. So we're going to give an example of this in a little bit here, but I got a lot more questions before we get to that.
Yes.
Okay. So then after you do the filtering, then you can hear the answers to the question that you asked.
Yes. Sometimes you don't even need filtering. There are 3 types of EVPs, A, B, and C. C, to start with, the lower end, is there something there, but you really can't make out exactly what it is no matter what you do. B, is there something there, and if you use, say, a noise reduction filter, you can hear it and pretty much make out what it is. And then an A is you need nothing. You just need to listen to the recording as it exists, and you can hear it clear as day. So those are 3 shelves of audio that you can do with EVP.
Do you find, I mean, we're now getting close to Halloween. Are spirits more likely to be talking this time of year than they might be like in the heat of summer or the dead of winter?
That is an interesting question.
I think that's why I'm here.
That's why you're here, Tom. Yes. And one of the feelings that are behind that is everyone notices the crispness in the air, the change in the seasons, and almost the energy around everything that becomes stronger and more noticeable to everyone. Do you feel energy changes during fall? When we first get to fall and the change of seasons? Well, that's been known for, millions of years. And that energy is part of it. It's no coincidence that Halloween and All Saints Day ends up October 31st, or in that area of time.
And it's been that way for generations. I mean, for centuries.
For
really.
as long as mankind has been around.
Now, there's somebody watching this right now, listening to this right now, that is thinking, you're a nut job.
You know what? When I first started this, not to get too far off, but when I first started this, I thought it was a bunch of hooey. Let's say hooey, because that's acceptable. I thought it was like, no, there's no way. I'd been a sound engineer for 45 years, ran sound for everybody in Omaha that you can think of, the Mighty Jailbreakers, the Jacks, Blue House and the Rentone Horns. And I've just been an engineer and ran into this way back in the early 2000s and thought, no, there's no way that all those recordings I've made of all of those speaking engagements, videos, and commercial production, and concerts that I never heard an EVP, an electronic voice phenomenon. Went out to try it one day and hit the ball out of the park and got one. And it was, Tom, it was stunning. It literally went from complete, this is garbage, to holy smokes, the universe is way bigger than we give it credit for. Uncover the secrets that lurk behind The Doorway in Omaha. Join us for spine-chilling episodes as we delve into the paranormal mysteries of our city and bring you captivating coast-to-coast stories that will send shivers down your spine. The Doorway from mapsomaha.com. Get ready for the extraordinary.
I told this story before, and I think I've told you this story before. Mm-hmm. My dad had an old STEM watch that he had won in a sales competition when he was working as a salesman for Mutual of Omaha. And he wore this thing all the time. And when, as watches progressed, he eventually just put it in a drawer, and, that watch was there. But that was always the watch that I associated with him as a child growing up. When my dad got sick and was towards the end of his life, I took the watch and I put it on, and I was wearing the watch. And it was an old STEM watch, and it would stop, and it'd stop maybe once or twice a day, where I'd have to go and reset it and wind it up again, right? So I'm in the room when my dad dies. And he had been in hospice and that, and I go back to the nursing home where he was living, and one of the nurses says, "How's your dad doing?" I said, "Well, he passed away." And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. When?" I said, "Oh, about an hour ago." And I looked at the watch as I was saying that, and it had stopped at 7:20, the time of his death. Now, I mean, look, I'm as cynical and skeptical as the next guy. And look, it could have been just the weirdest coincidence. But I don't necessarily believe it was, And actually, I talked with a friend of mine who's a jeweler, and she was telling me that actually there is a real connection between people and their jewelry. That there is a psychic connection of some sort between people and their jewelry, which I had not heard before.
Wow, it's almost like it's a furniture connection too. Someone who has some piece of furniture that they love, but also, Tom, what you're talking about is things that I have learned from my experience with the paranormal is that some attachments are real, and it's incredibly strong, and people don't realize that because you live day to day, hour by hour, with just outside the park. Most people don't even think as they live. And where I'm getting with this is the association between a physical object and a human psychology is extremely tight. And for your father to have touched that watch, or at least worn it for years and years and years, it became him, or part of him. And when you inherited that, it was just showing you.
Needless to say, I never wound it or reset the time ever again.
That's awesome.
No, I never did that. So, okay, so now the ones that I've heard that you've done, they've been, I've heard the voices that, like I said, we're going to play some in a little bit here. I've heard the voices, but the answers are rather generic for the most part,
They are.
I'm not hearing anything that, gives me any real deep insight to the beyond. Have you found anything that has really, like, shocked you or changed your view of what it might be like on the other side?
What it might be like on the other side, not really. We're still struggling to figure out exactly what it is we're hearing. That is, it's there, but it's sometimes a little disjointed, and then sometimes it's very specific. And a good example of this is doing an investigation with Terry, my partner, and I in Benson at a place that used to be Bill Bailey's, of all places, then became Full House. They were having issues there. They asked us to come in and see if we could find anything. We were in the basement, and Terry asked, "Can you hear us?" And then asked, "I know that you can." Well, in between that, I went back and listened to, after it was over, I went back and listened to that audio. And when Terry said, "I know you can hear us," there was actually voices, "Yes, we can hear you. From the farthest blocks, we can hear you." And then Terry answered, "I know that you can." And there was an actual voice on the tape, very clear, that said, "Do you have a right to collect these sounds?" Knocked my socks off.
Can you show me that you're here? I believe that you are. Can you show me that you're here? I believe that you are. Can you show me that you're here? I believe that you are.
Do you have a
Scared
right
me.
to collect these sounds?
Yes. Asked us specifically, "Do you have a right to collect these sounds?"
So you found a lawyer in Benson.
Kind of. Kind of. Yeah. It was shocking. It was totally stunning.
There probably are. I mean, there really are no legal aspects of this, are there, for you? Or
No, it's just using common sense. When you say legalities of this, don't go somewhere you're not allowed. Don't go into graveyards at night unless you have the owner of the graveyard with you. Don't do anything odd. Don't go into churches. Don't do anything. Don't do anything that's outside of common sense.
Mm-hmm. And as you're invited.
If you're invited.
Okay. We're going to play some of that audio here in just a second, but I want to tell you one more time about my friends at Havana Garage before we do that. Havana Garage at 10th and Howard in the Old Market with a great selection of whiskeys, great selection of cocktails, friendly atmosphere, just a nice, cozy place, whether you're a cigar smoker or not. Now, if you're a cigar smoker, they've got an incredible humidor with a wide selection, no matter what type of flavor you want, they got it there for you at Havana Garage. But even if you're not a cigar smoker, you're going to just love the atmosphere, the relaxing, calm feeling that you'll find there. And yeah, ladies, cigar smoking isn't just for men either. Check it out, 10th and Howard in the Old Market, Havana Garage. All right, so now I said we're going to go and listen to this. Now this is, let's play. Tell me a little bit about this video video and audio that we're about to see. Now, for those of you that are just listening online, we also have the YouTube channel. So in the YouTube channel, there's some subtext to what is being said here, and I will repeat that at various points throughout this this video to help those that are just listening. Because sometimes when you hear what they say, it's sort of hard to make it out the first time you hear it.
Yes.
So we're going to go and listen to that. But tell me about this experience here, this ghost hunting experience.
The group, Maps Omaha, was invited into Café de Paris and was asked to do an investigation. That along with that was a dinner party that we were presenting at. The owner was gracious enough to let us come in and do an investigation. And in this investigation, we used something called a ghost box or a spirit box. Same thing. And it uses skipping frequencies to listen for voices, and you would ask the box a certain question that you come up with and listen for an answer. And this is what happened, and it was amazing.
All right, let's take a look at just what went down.
John, Chef Adam, are you here? Did you type on my phone?
Look, partner.
He said, "Look, partner. Look, partner." Let's listen again.
John, Chef Adam, are you here? Did you type on my phone?
Look, partner.
Yeah, look, partner.
Would you like me to tell your wife something? My good friend knows your wife. Can I relay a message?
You'll protect them.
You'll protect them? That's what I heard.
You'll protect them. That's what he said. You'll protect them.
Would you like me to tell your wife something? My good friend knows your wife. Can I relay a message?
You'll protect them.
You'll protect them? That's what I heard.
He also said when you ask you a question, he says, "Wait a minute," like he might have had another call or something. I don't know, but
Do you miss eating?
I miss eating.
Do you miss eating?
Yeah, I miss eating, which you would expect if you're working in a restaurant.
You want me to paint the front door yellow again?
Wait. Don't you, John.
Something, John.
Don't do it, John. He said, "Don't do it, John."
You want me to paint the front door yellow again?
Wait. Don't you, John.
Something, John.
There you have it. That's a look into what happened at that ghost hunting session.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that were there,
Yes.
okay, they invited you, so you came in beforehand to do the ghost hunting and all that, and then you did the reveal at this dinner party, right?
At the dinner party, after we had collected all of the information. But if you saw, well, most folks saw, the reaction to the people that were sitting around that table, it is quite real that they heard what was said.
Mm-hmm.
And the shock is very surreal. It was, we were stunned at the answers we got. That was probably the best spirit box session we were ever involved with.
I know that when you did the one at KFAB,
Mm-hmm.
I know that you were in the basement down there.
Yes.
And one of the voices said, "Red, we're down here."
Yes.
And Red was a former engineer, an old-time engineer that had worked there years ago, and said, "Red, we're down here." So, I mean, it there's something there.
It's sometimes get reciprocal, or like almost a tape recorder. The earth is almost like a tape recorder. And there are certain emotions that it will replay. And that's probably what we believe that was there was an engineer that called for Red and said, "Red, down here, we're trying to do something." And it registered, and we were able to record it.
So, I mean, but if they were calling for Red down there,
Mm-hmm.
that would have been, decades earlier.
That would have been.
So it's not like, Red was going to come down. So do you think, from what you've learned, do you think that ghost is down there, that spirit is down there, just saying, "Red, I'm down here," for time and time and time again over the years?
I almost think it's more of an electronic recording. Like I said, Tom, it's almost like the earth itself is is becoming a loop recorder. We're not sure why or how it's able to do it, but there's many examples of exactly what you're explaining.
Yeah.
It's so deep. It's hard to wrap your head around most of any of it. Truthfully, it's hard.
Now, both you and Terry worked at a funeral home.
Yes, you
Okay,
can
and
say
I
that.
wasn't to give any details or anything, but
Yes.
you worked at a funeral home. Now, you didn't start off that way.
No, the irony.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally
You didn't start out that way. 'Cause actually, you were in broadcasting. You
I was in
Yeah,
broadcasting.
you used to work at Channel 6.
Yes,
Yeah.
for many years.
Yeah, way back in the day.
Yeah.
Way back in the day. But then
That's how this all started. Was actually what is called sweeps every year.
yeah.
There's sweeps in November for ratings, and the news kids were looking for good stories for November, which starts with Halloween on the 31st. So during October, I went up to John, at the time was our news director, said, hey, I have this idea. I ran into EVPs. I'd love to see if they're real or not. And that would be the story. Is it EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon? Is it real? Ooh, spooky. Well, went out with some equipment that was loaned to me by reporters. Went to a gravesite. Didn't like doing it, but my daughter insisted and didn't really even know how to use the stuff. Walking around in the graveyard and walked up to a gravestone, and I'm holding a recorder in one hand and an analog recorder in the other. And I'm thinking, if the grave folks see me, how am I going to explain what I'm doing? So it was very uncomfortable at that time. I looked down, see a tombstone, and the tombstone said Haiti Patty, 1843 to 1890, and the actual date was chiseled off and re-chiseled underneath 1896. So I said 1896, and I laughed. I don't know why it was funny. I was weirdly uncomfortable and laughed, and then I thought, oh, I'm in a graveyard, and I said, I'm sorry. And on we went, daughter taking photos and me recording audio. Went back to the house, and literally in my underwear, watching Leno, that's how long ago it was, with one of the recorders up to my ear, listening to me walking around a graveyard, and then I hear myself, Haiti Patties, 1843, 1896, and I heard myself laugh. And right after the laughter and me saying, I'm sorry, was a woman that said, time to leave. And it was crystal clear. And I was speechless. Set the digital recorder down, picked up the analog recorder, which I was using at the exact same time, rolled up to that same point, heard myself talk, say I was sorry, and there was a woman's voice that very clearly on the recording said, time to leave.
So it worked on both tape and on digital?
Digital and analog, both.
Well, analog is like
Just
tape, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just tape.
like a cassette, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, time to leave. But now you didn't hear it at the time.
No, I would have been running. There would have been smoke off my shoes.
Yeah.
As fast as I could go. Yes, no, you do not hear the responses until you get back and listen to the recording. And there are, and an absolute truth, there are hours and hours and hours of absolute boredom listening to things because there's nothing there. And then there is.
Yeah.
And those are the stunners. Those are the ones that you're walking through Forest Lawn with multiple crews of different paranormal societies together, testing equipment out, testing out new cameras, new recordings, having a gentleman walking by a specific bunch of tombstones, crunching leaves under his feet. And you hear him reading the names on the tombstones. Wilson, this. And then you hear a voice that said, these are the sheep God wants next.
Watching. Boy, they Hoagland. Watching. Boy, they
And it's in a voice of a child. And that is just completely and utterly stunning and hard to listen to, because you're lost at how did that get recorded? There were no children with us. There was maybe 4 adults. And who would think of that?
Yeah.
These are the sheep God wants next? Wow.
So, wow. I mean, the thing, it's all fascinating. And yet, I'm drawn to this, and I want nothing to do with it at the same time.
You don't want to be the boy in the bubble.
Like I said, I live in an old house in Dundee.
Sure.
And I would imagine, I've never done the research, it would not surprise me to find that the house is over 100 years old. It would not surprise me to find that some people have died in that house over the years, right?
There is an old adage that my father taught me a long time ago. Never poop in your own nest.
So you've never checked your house?
Don't.
You've never checked, Terry's never checked anything?
Yeah, we try to avoid it. Try to avoid it at all costs. Have we? I think on one occasion I did. I regretted, yet was very happy I did it. It's one of those situations where I was with my wife. We were watching Nebraska football, and I missed my dad really bad. He had passed away the year before. And so the wife just bugged me. Why don't you record? See if you can hear your dad. And I thought, okay. I wasn't real keen about it. I went ahead and recorded. I said, Dad, if you can hear me, I'm watching a Husker game. And then I thought, I was kind of upset about doing it and thought, I'll just set that aside for a while because I think in my head, I'm not ready for this. And when I listened back, there was a voice, and it's hard. It was my dad.
Did it sound like your dad?
Oh, yeah.
So you can tell the different sounds of the voices and stuff, so.
He said something that only he knew.
I really can hear you. I really can hear you.
Wow. Okay, so on that note.
Sorry about that.
No, man. That's easy, and that's the sort of thing that, quite honestly,
That's why you don't poop in your own.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Sorry.
I mean, I miss my folks, but at the same time, I hope they're happy and at peace. Have you ever gotten one where somebody's saying, like, help, get me out of here, or something that made you think that, like, this person might be in a not so good place? This person might be in hell. This person might be.
We've gotten some very nasty ones. Some that have said things to us that I can't repeat on air or pretty much anywhere.
They've cussed you, huh?
Oh, those are, I would call that cussing. Yes, they're very bad. And something as simple as I'm gonna take your liver. I've actually had that.
Yeah.
Voices. It's very weird because I'm very quiet the whole time we are recording for EVP sessions, and Terry is essentially, she is like a warrior traveler. She has no fear, and me, I'm usually holding the back of her shirt and like walking around behind her, going, "No, don't have them talk to me. Just talk to this thing." So, we've gotten weird things. I totally lost. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Where we were walking behind Terry and then recording and getting some of the oddest stuff that it's hard to fathom why they say it. Like, show Jones the map. Yeah, I know. It's just the strangest thing. There are just outside the park really odd things, and then there are specifics, much like do you have a right to collect these sounds? They're very specific. In our investigation at the Durham Museum, we were in the hall, the new hall that was built there for presentations. And Terry and I were speaking. It was very echoey, and she said something to the point of, this would be a really good place to record EVPs. And when she said that, right after she said it, you heard a voice that said, "Shawn, bring the child here."
It'd be easy to see shadow in here, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It'd be easy to see shadow in here, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the ones where I picked the headphone off and, nope, I'm done for a while.
What child were they talking about?
Don't know. It was just outside the park, not sure. But those are the kind of things that you hear, and sometimes it's just wild stuff.
Now, do you find, like I said, like I'm talking like my house and that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or whether it be any of these buildings you go to, are these people that have just had a strong association with these people, or with these buildings and that, or this area, or is it just sort of like a random thing? In other words, did somebody have to die in my house for that spirit to be there, or was it just somebody that lived in that house and loved it? And maybe they also loved, the place where they worked, so they might also be found where they work. If you did an EVP there, any idea how that works?
Tom, can I answer that with all of the above?
Really?
Yeah, we've ran into almost all of that. But we've also ran into things that were absolutely positively not paranormal. One of them that we run into on multiple occasions is something called a fear cage. And a lot of times folks will be in their basements and they'll be doing laundry and hear weird things. And we've had people call us, had us come in for that specific issue, that they thought they were hearing things and weird things were happening. And we would go in and you would take an EMF meter, electronic meter to register electromagnetism and for electrical current. And you would walk into their basement and you're seeing electrical and water pipes galore, like tons and tons, up on the ceiling and down right where the washer and dryer are. And it's just like a giant cage of electrical that it messes with people's psyche. It messes with their head because it's electrical impulses and signals just bouncing everywhere.
Fascinating. If people want to get in touch with you, they can do that through your website, right?
Yeah, mapsomaha.com.
Mapsomaha.com.
Yes.
And you've also got on the website, you've got the video from what we just showed here, but also other video that you've done, right? Other basically EVPs that you've done.
Yes.
Right? Give me some of the other examples that you'll find on the webpage.
One of the examples would be there is a YouTube influencer called Slapped Ham, and they did a portion on part of the walk through Forest Lawn. This was the mausoleum, the Chris Mausoleum, and a photograph there. That video is there showing that mausoleum and the picture that is associated with it. There are John Nicely and Mallory Maddox doing a bit about Sutter's Mill, which is a small building literally on the corner of Saddle Creek and Dodge, where we went in and worked with Nels Erickson, who you know.
Yeah, I know Nels, yeah.
And
by the way, people that don't
did
know,
a story.
If you go down Dodge, right by Saddle Creek, it's that little white building that's just sort of there by itself. And
right by the bridge.
Right by the bridge. And that used to be a mill. When Saddle Creek was actually a creek, that was a mill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's on there. There's our podcasts We have dipped our toe in the podcast world, Tom, and
You and everybody else.
yeah, us and literally everyone. So the podcasts are there. A lot of photographs, information to contact us. Kind of where we're at, as far as never taking any money, any cash, because it's just not. It ain't the gig. It's not the gig to do that.
Yeah.
There's ethics involved in it, and that we do that because we want to show that this is not a money making thing. This is
You're not trying to scam anybody.
no. This isn't a sales seminar, Tom.
Yeah.
No.
You're not selling T-shirts or
No.
ghost tours or anything like that, huh?
If there's a gift shop, we'll avoid it. That's kind of our motto.
Yeah.
So, and essentially, Terry and I are Boris and Natasha of the paranormal world. So we're the goofballs, and it's fun. It's incredibly teaching, and it is very spiritual. And I'm not trying to be this whole Bible beating type of person, but what I have learned, what has opened my eyes to a lot of things, is maps.
MapsOmaha.com. To contact them to see the other explorations, to listen to the podcast and learn more. MapsOmaha.com. Shawn, always a pleasure talking to you, my friend.
Pleasure.
Want to thank the folks at Havana Garage for sponsoring this episode. Havana Garage on the Old Market, 10th and Howard. If you haven't been in a while, check it out again. If you have been, keep on drumming. It's just a great place to unwind, have a cocktail, relax, and enjoy some time in the historic Old Market, where I would imagine. Have you ever done any Old Market?
We've done a few down there, and yes, it's filled.
I would imagine so. Anyway,
It is.
every Tuesday at 10 o'clock, a new podcast comes up with interesting people with stories to tell. I hope you'll tell your friends about this. Subscribe, like, all that stuff that you do on social media. And till next time, take care and bye, y'all.
You're listening to the best mysteries and phenomenon the Midwest has to offer. This is The Doorway. For comments on tonight's show, go to mapsomaha.com.